What's going on, everybody? Patrick Sullivan with the Sullivan team and senior downsizing experts here. With me today is Jefferson Aldrich.
How are you?
So today we're going to talk about how you, yes you, can get out of the rent race and start owning. So the purpose of this video is to help those that think they can't afford to buy or are worried about their credit score, and just how easy it is to talk to a lender and get the ball rolling. You may not be as bad off as you think you are, and you may have exactly what you need to get the loan and start searching for your home. So there are a variety of different options and programs out there that can help you get into a home, and we'll talk about those later here in the video. So if you don't know, or if you haven't noticed, rent prices are on the rise, especially here in the Metroplex. There doesn't seem to be any sight of them coming down anytime soon. On average, in the DFW Metroplex, rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $14.50 a month, and that's on average. Yes, there are some places that our rent's going to be higher or lower, but it just depends on the apartment and the area. But for example, let's go ahead and use this $14.50. So we have our one-bedroom apartment that's $14.50 a month. If you take that $14.50 times 12 months, that's $17,400 that you're paying someone else, something that will never be yours. Now let's take a three-bedroom apartment for a family. On average, in the Metroplex, three-bedroom apartments are $2,500 a month or more. So now let's take that three-bedroom apartment at $2,500 a month times 12. That's $30,000 you're paying someone else. That's a lot of money. With most apartments, they require you to make 3.5 times the rent in order to qualify for the apartment. So for your one-bedroom apartment that's $14.50 a month at 3.5 times the rent, that's $5,075 that you have to make in order to qualify for that apartment. That's $60,900 a year you would have to make. Now let's take our three-bedroom apartment at $2,500 a month at 3.5 times the rent. That's $87.50 you'd have to make in order to qualify, which is $105,000 a year. Did you know that the average household income for a family of four is $92,785? And for a single person, the average income is about $48,000. Neither one of those would make that 3.5 times the rent, which makes it very hard for the average middle-class family. Now, there may be some apartments out there that are lower in rent, or they don't require the 3.5%. But they may be older apartments, not as updated, and they may be in a not so good area, amongst some other issues. But for some people, they have no choice. This is all they can afford when it comes to living in an apartment. So did you know that most conventional loans only require you to put 3% down? And for FHA, that's 3.5%. And if you have lower credit, 10%. So if you're in the military, you can also get a VA loan, or if you've been in the military, and put 0 down. If you qualify for a USDA loan, that's another loan that requires you to put 0 down. So let's go ahead and do some math here. So let's take a $250,000 house at 3%. That's $7,500. At 3.5%, that's $8,750. And at 10%, that's $25,000. And there's programs out there that can help you with these costs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but investing that money into something that I'm eventually going to own sounds a lot better than giving that money to someone else to make them richer. So let's go ahead and talk about how you can do this. All right, Jefferson, you're up. Okay. So tell me, how are interest rates right now?
It's interesting, when you look at the history of where interest rates are at, there is a lot of people are worried and scared, but you've got this time frame for about the last 1.5 to 2 years, and probably going into 2024. We're heading into the late third quarter of 2023. Right now, the sentiment at the Fed level is they're going to keep them higher for longer, and then probably mid-2024, based on the news that we're getting, they're going to start to lower interest rates. As they lower interest rates, people are going to start refinancing. Not everybody's going to refinance quickly,
right?
But they're going to, as rates start to come down a quarter at a time, because remember, they went up a quarter, a half, 0.75, a quarter. Now they're going to only probably come down slowly. You're going to come down a quarter. So rates on a national scale in this last year and a half have moved up the fastest they've ever moved, but over the history of interest rates, they're fairly normal. But the last couple of generations have not seen 7% interest rates. Right. So the last couple of generations, the 30-year-olds and the 20-year-olds and even the early 40-year-olds right now, to them, the interest rates is a big deal because they've been seeing, low 4s, 3s, 2s for the past, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. And 2s going into COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
So just to give you a sense, but for some of the older people, like my parents bought the last house or the first house they bought 18%. So, they look at 7% interest rate today and go, what's the problem?
Exactly. Exactly.
My first house, I'm in my 50s. It was like almost 7.5%. So, for me, it's just normal too. But, that's kind of a long answer to the question, but you kind of want to give people some context.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we were just kind of spoiled by COVID rates, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody that didn't buy a house during then, well, you kind of lost your chance to get in that late because the days of the low 2.5 to 2 to 3% interest rates. Will we ever see those again?
Typically, anybody in my business right now, in the mortgage business, doesn't really think that we're going to see the 2s again. Could we see the 3s? We very well could. I'm not quite sure. We all believe we'll be probably in the 4s. We're probably headed into the low 5s. In 2025, maybe the end of 2025, we'll start to see the 4s again. That's our best guess. But if the government starts printing money, and we have quantitative easing, or QE as we all like to call it, you don't know where that could go either, So there's a lot of macroeconomic things around the world that anything could hammer the market, and then they have to take the rates down so that they can spur the economy on. So The question is, none of us have a crystal ball.
Right.
Could it go back down to the 3s? Probably so. Will we see the 2s? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. And and we got an election coming up too, so that can definitely change things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
politics always helps.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me, why is right now a good time to buy?
Okay, this is just my opinion, okay, but I'm gonna think through kind of some historical issues that we've gone through, okay? Going into COVID, let's say prior to 2020 and then the start of 2020, right? People were in Texas because this is coming out of Texas, and our home market here, real estate market, is really strong, right? One of the strongest in the country. And our home appreciation has been steadily going up. But going into COVID, homes were rising in their price points. Interest rates were pretty steady in the 3s. And then when COVID hits, everything drops. Price points go up, and then all of a sudden the first-time home buyer had a hard time buying a home because people were coming from all over to move to Texas because we were very open in our economy, and then people weren't losing their jobs here, and then all of a sudden prices went crazy and people were paying way over list price. So we were doing we were seeing contracts with $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 over list price.
I know, it was crazy.
And the first-time home buyer typically is not sitting on a huge bucket of cash to go, sure, I'll take that house $50,000 over.
Right.
I can come in and compete against people that are coming from all over the country, both coasts, selling homes, West Coast, East Coast, with crazy amount of appreciation, and they want to buy a $400,000 house here when they're coming from an $800,000 house there, and they pocketed a bunch of cash.
Yeah, you got investors coming in from California and New York and everything, just buying up neighborhoods. It just the first-time home buyer at that time didn't stand a chance.
No, they didn't. No. So now, fast forward out of COVID. Fed's pushing the rates up, economy's slowing down a little bit. Now the first-time home buyer can come in, buy a home at list price. Now there's still some competition on some, but we see a lot of list price deals on our contracts, and I'm just from the lender perspective, right? I'm not an expert in real estate, I'm a money guy. So we're seeing a lot of list price contracts. occasionally some under list price. We're seeing some seller concessions or closing costs being paid by seller. So the first time home buyer finally has a chance over the last several years to not pay over list, buy a home. They're going to be at a higher interest rate, as compared to the last several years. But then when interest rates come down, they're just going to refinance. And then as people start to, everybody says, hey, when rates get to 4%, I'm buying. I'm selling. I'm buying. Now that whole competition cycle is going to get crazy again. Yep. And the first time home buyer that doesn't have a big bucket of cash gets pushed to the bottom of the stack on a 20 contract competition where you got 20 offers in on a home, and then all of a sudden things get crazy again. So that's once again a long answer, but I wanted to provide the context of if you're going to buy a house and you're a first-time home buyer, may not be a bad time to do it based on what we've seen and what is probably coming to the real estate market here as soon as rates do go down. Everybody is saying, I'm going to wait until rates are 4%. Well, you and everybody else are waiting.
Exactly.
And that's a lot of people. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, they have also had the option of possibly doing a buy down, right? Which will give them a little bit of a relief at the first part.
Absolutely. Lots of different buy downs. We'll touch on that real fast. There's a 3-2-1, a 2-1, a 1-1, a 1-0. So let me do a simple recap of what a 3-2-1 buy down is. Basically, what you're saying on a 3-2-1, 3% lower. Let's use in the example of a locked interest rate at 7%. Okay, you close on your home, you lock at 7%. That's your interest rate. Well, on a 3-2-1 buy down, the first 12 months that you pay on that loan, it is 3% less. The next 12 months, it's 2% less. The last 12 months, it's 1% less. Okay. And then it goes to the 7% payment. So in that first 12 months, that interest rate is 4%. That's your payment. The second is 5%. The third is 6%. 3% less, 2% less, 1% less. And then on the 37th month, after those 3 years are up, you are now paying a 7% interest rate payment. Okay. But that's just real simply put. In the 2-1, you can obviously it would just be 2% less than 1%. 1-1, we actually have a 1-1 program that is 1% for the first 24 months. Okay. So if you locked at 7%, your payment would be at 6% for the first 24 months. And then we have a 1-0. For the first 12 months of the payment, it's just 1% less than your locked interest rate.
Okay.
So hopefully, that makes sense. And y'all can hit us with any questions anytime. We'll have all of our information on here if you need some math. Yeah. So I actually even have some videos to walk people through that just in case they want a little further understanding of it. We can email you that, and I've got a system that will show you some scenarios and walk you through the math on the payments and how all that works in case you want to show family or friends. Okay.
Perfect. So tell me, how easy is it to find out if somebody qualifies?
It probably takes us about an hour. Unless you're self-employed, that could take a little longer.
Yeah.
So basically, I like to talk to everybody first. I like to find out what their situation is because every family has a different situation. Every family has a different budget. Every family is trying to accomplish something different with their mortgage. It's just not as simple as I want to buy a house.
Right.
It's okay, I want to buy a house, but this is my budget. I need to be here. I'm moving over here. I'm selling this property here. I had a bankruptcy. I have perfect credit. Everybody is so different. It's good to have that first conversation. I can probably have that conversation about 15 minutes, figure out what we need to do for you, put together the strategy, or maybe even the time frame. Then I have you put your information on our website. That's where you're putting in all your pertinent information, and already have a sense of what it is that we're going to be doing. So 15 minutes with me, and then probably 10 to 15 minutes to put your information in. And then my team goes to work, and we can do most of that in about an hour. We kick out a pre-approval letter. So then, the pre-approval letter would go to you, and it would go to Patrick. And then from there, you are now out shopping for a home. I mean, it literally happens that fast.
And see, that's all it takes is just a phone call just to find that out. Biggest thing that people are worried about is credit score, right? So can you tell me, what's the lowest credit score that you've been able to get approved?
You can do, it's interesting, there are no credit score programs, FHA and VA. We have a no credit score program, which no credit score is different than low credit score. Okay. Low credit score, I can go down to 540. Okay. And that's on like an FHA and a VA loan. But there are caveats to that on those lower credit scores. We're looking for compensating factors like years on the job. Sometimes it's medical issues that are just hurting your credit. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Sometimes more money down. You sell a property and maybe you got a divorce and maybe y'all went to war and, there were issues and now that's kind of all in the background, but now y'all need to move on and you need to buy your next home and the scores are suffering. Okay. But you're sitting on 50K, y'all sold the previous house and now you got 50,000 a piece. And now you're going, hey, now I need to buy a house, but my scores are hurting. Sometimes the down payment makes a big difference. So everybody, I think, has the ability to purchase for the most part. Sometimes it's just a matter of how much money do you have to throw at it.
Sure. Exactly. Now I know that there's a way that you can also do a quick credit pull where you take 12 months of their income and then generate a score out of that. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so we do have a program. We have a beta testing program that's happened with Fannie and Freddie. So what we can do and this is a no score program, okay?
No score, okay.
This is no credit score whatsoever. And this really kind of falls into line, maybe a younger couple, maybe somebody just getting out of college, they're starting their new job and they've never even had a credit card. Maybe that wasn't part of, they've just been going to school and now they go, I need to buy a house, but I don't have any credit. Okay. So we can take 12 months of your bank statements. And we have a scoring system and we have an algorithm built and we have been able to show Fannie and Freddie that if you pay your cell phone bill, let's say you pay somebody for a car, things like that, we can show your auto insurance and stuff like that. We can show that the way you pay your bills, as long as you bank, okay, you're putting your money in the bank, you work, you pull your money out of the bank to pay stuff. So we can show as you pay on time through your bank that over 12 months, what your score is, 0 to 100, we can basically say, hey, this person's going to pay their mortgage. And we can give people a loan based on that. And it's something that we do. As far as I know, no one else does that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of special. It is the guy who runs all of our what we call secondary, with Wall Street and everything. He came from Fannie Mae, so
That's
I think
awesome.
he developed kind of a special program, and it works pretty well.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I know another big thing about a loan that you look at is debt to income ratio.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually teach a debt to income ratio class.
Oh, there you go.
So debt to income ratio we'll make it real simple. Okay, so take your income, your annual salary, divide it by 12. Take that monthly income, divide it by 2. So let's use $60,000 a year. Okay, $60,000 a year divided by 12 is $5,000 a month. Divide that by 2, that's $2,500. All of your bills that hit the credit bureaus and your mortgage have to fit in that $2,500 a month. Okay, that is your debt to income ratio. That's 50%. Okay, so on a conventional loan, you can't go over 50%. So if you wanted a $400,000 house and your debt to income ratio says you can't go above $2,500 and that payment was $3,000, obviously you wouldn't qualify because you have a cap of $2,500 a month that you've got to stay inside.
Right.
Okay, so and we can break it down for everybody's, a little more individually, but your annual income divide by 12, and then take your monthly income divide by 2. That's the simple. Now there are a couple of caveats for government loans. You can go a little higher than conventional loans, but hopefully that'll, if somebody's out there trying to do the math, that'll at least get you started.
Great. So what kind of programs are there out there to kind of help somebody get into a house, like maybe a down payment assistance or for first-time home buyers?
Yes, lots. So Texas has 3 main programs: the SETH program, the TSHAC program, the TDHCA program. Those all have bonds and grants or down payment assistance. In the mortgage business, we call them DPAs, down payment assistance. So when you hear that acronym, you know what it is. In those will all cover your down payment or portions of it. Most people choose the one that covers the whole down payment. And then either they've got to negotiate the seller to pay the closing cost, or they have saved up enough to pay their own closing cost. So they take the program's money, cover the down payment. Somebody's got to pay the closing cost. And however that works out, could be even a family gift. Okay. Those are DPA programs, just as an example. The next example is we have a 1% down conventional loan. Okay, so the buyer only needs 1% of the sales price. We have a 2% grant that we give. Okay, now you still got closing costs, so the question is who's paying the closing cost?
Right.
You could get a family gift. You could have saved it. You could get the seller to pay it. But that's another way to do it. But those. I would say those are probably maybe the hottest products in that realm. How about that?
Perfect. That's awesome. Sounds like there's a lot of great programs out there.
Yes. That most people don't even know about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you enlightening our people about that's great. Hopefully this is some information that somebody's needed to be able to take the next step forward. Now, I know your company has some special programs out there too. What kind of programs do you guys have?
I think our 1% program is probably our big deal. That's just us. We have that no score program. That's not a common thing. And I get a lot of comments about that. Our bank statement program, when you have no score, our 12 months, being able to pull the data out, showing that you're probably going to pay your mortgage. That's pretty special. Let me think here. We have this is interesting. We have a 3-2-1. Okay. But it's not a 3-2-1 buy down. It's a 3% down for a conventional loan. 2 is $2,000 gift card at Home Depot. We have a partnership with Home Depot. And the 1 is a $1,000 credit towards your closing cost.
Wow.
Okay, so you hear the term 3-2-1, but usually it's associated with a buy down. Our 3-2, we also have a 3-2-1 buy down, but this 3-2-1 is 3% down on a conventional loan, the least amount you could do. And then a $2,000 gift card to Home Depot. So after you close, you
get your appliances
you
or
get
whatever.
to go. Yeah, you need a washer and a dryer or something, and I think that's pretty special.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
we're the only company in the country that I know of that has that partnership with Home Depot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I know, somebody applies for a loan. Not everybody does qualify, but maybe they're right there on the edge of qualifying. What kind of things can you do to help get them on the road to where they can buy?
Oh, interesting. I think the world of advice, just being able to have the ability to call somebody or text or email and say, hey, Jefferson, here's my situation. What can I do? I want to buy a home in 6 months. I have no credit score. What do I need to do? You need to get 2 credit cards. Okay. And then I'll walk them through how to do it. I think because there are a lot of loan officers. There's a lot of really good loan officers out there. This is not just about me, just so everybody knows. There's a lot of really good loan officers out there. If you will start earlier and tell them what's going on and walk them through your current situation, they should be able to give you some really good information. Okay. And if they don't, call me. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, right.
But I think it's that start early, figure out what you're trying to accomplish, have that conversation. A lot of people think they can buy and they can't. A lot of people think they can't buy and they can.
Yeah.
There's more people that think they can't buy and they can than there are than people that think they can buy and can't. It's always that it's amazing sometimes a lot of self-employed people, because they write everything off, have a hard time purchasing, and they make plenty of money.
Yeah.
But they write everything off on their taxes. So then their options for loans are limited, and they typically may not like those options, but it's the way to buy a house.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I tell everybody who's renting, before they, say, hey, can you help me find a rent house? I'll get into that conversation first. I'll ask them, have you thought about buying? Have you talked to a lender before? Because it is worth it just to make that phone call and just to have a conversation with somebody like Jefferson, just to let you know, if you're in that market, if you're able to buy that house.
Yeah.
You kind of talked about it, but is there any other things that people can do to raise their credit score?
Fastest thing to do. 35% of your credit score is your trade lines of your credit cards. So a trade line, like one credit card is a trade line. An auto loan is a trade line. So the fastest way to move your credit score up is to pay your credit cards down to less than 10% of the max available value. So if you have $1,000 credit card, if you paid that down to less than $100 and you left it there, and it reported to the bureaus, all three bureaus, your scores would go up. Okay? If you let it, and the hard thing for most people though is to not use the credit card, because most people want to charge it up and either pay it off or charge it up,
right,
and not pay it completely off. And most people think they're doing the right thing by charging it up and paying it down to zero. Unfortunately, you usually pay it on the first of the month. The problem is that you charged it up all month, $1,000 card. It went to $900, and on the 27th of the month, it reported to all three bureaus. So it reports as completely charged up.
Yeah.
And then you do the right thing in your mind, you're just paying it down to zero so you don't have to pay any interest. Well, that works until you look at your credit scores and it's reporting you had a $900 balance, meaning that credit card is basically maxed out and you lose points. Okay? So knowing the rules of the game that you're playing when you're trying to buy a home is very important. That's one of the main things. Is credit cards are simple to help your scores once you know what the rules of the game are.
Yeah.
When it comes to other things like, should you pay down collections? Should you pay down charge-offs? I think it's very individual for every person. It's age of the account, how much good credit is reporting, how much bad credit, has it been charged off, is it recently reporting? There's a lot of variables in there. Don't just go on your three bureaus and push dispute. That takes all of those trade lines out of the credit scoring process and it boosts your scores. And that's what a lot of credit report companies do. And they go, look, I got your scores higher.
Yeah.
And then you can't really have disputes when you get a mortgage. So then now you have to go back and remove the disputes and then the scores come back down. So we watch a lot of families go through this roller coaster of emotion of my scores are to 650. I'm ready to buy a home. Well, you paid somebody $100 a month and all they did was go online and do dispute for free that you can do yourself for free.
Right.
But you paid them. So that's the kind of crazy world of credit repair that we see too.
So you can get them if they have had questions about like credit repair. You could probably get them on the right track or tell them to talk to the right people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And not a credit repair guy. That's not what I do for a living, but I've seen several thousand credit reports, and I know the basics. I know what it takes for most people to be able to purchase.
Great. Great. All right, perfect. Good stuff, Jefferson. So, we shared a lot of good information here today, and hopefully this has answered some questions, and hopefully it'll cause some people to call and see if they qualify for a home. Like I said before, it's worth that phone call. Look, I didn't get into the real estate business to make a lot of money. I got into the business to help people. So if I can help someone get into a home when they didn't think they could, that's what's rewarding for me, to see their smile at that closing table. I think Jefferson would say the same thing. That's what we do this for, is we do it to help as many people as we can and to help change lives. Thanks for watching today. If you like the video, please make sure to subscribe, follow it for more videos. If you have any questions or if you'd like them answered, you can go ahead and put them in the comments. You can call me or message me. If you know someone that you think this video could help, please share it with them. If you're looking to sell, buy, or invest in real estate, or you know somebody that I can help, please give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, whatever you have to do. My phone number is 817-330-9235. Or like I said, you can text or email me. You can also follow me on my Instagram and Facebook links, which will be in the comments. And Jefferson, how can I get a hold of you?
Simplest way is just my cell phone, 817-602-0348. And my name is Jefferson, and I'm from the Cherry Creek Division of Guild Mortgage.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks everyone again. Until next time, I'm Patrick Sullivan with the Sullivan Real Estate Team. This is Jefferson Aldridge. Y'all have a fantastic day.
Thank you.